All right, let's go. What's good? What's good? What's good? You two in Apartment 5B, hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me as always. Dope to see everybody, but as always, ladies first. Porsche, what's going on?
How's it going?
Everything is good. I'm loving the happy birthday big. Eddie got on the shirt.
Yes.
I love the Metropolitan Pete and Sky Zoo shirt you repping over there.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very dope.
I've got some more hip hop shirts coming, so I'm excited for those.
Yo, I think I really need to social distance myself from my debit card right now because I have been copping so much stuff it don't even make sense. And you know what? Honestly, I love my TL and my followers for putting up with my nonsense. I'm constantly like, you guys, something's coming. I don't even know what it is anymore. I can't keep track of what I've ordered. I've got like 18 things coming, and they're all like, "Oh, don't worry, it's cool. It's this, it's that." So shout out to my followers for that. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Vern out of ATL, what's going on, good brother?
What's going on, man? Speaking of t-shirts, I started this year saying I'm not buying any more t-shirts. I got a closet with 40 or 50 t-shirts I need to purge. What have I done over this quarantine? Buy more t-shirts.
Good brother, I totally get it. I done brought so many sneakers, it don't even make sense. It's totally stupid what I've been buying over here. Ed, out of LA, what's going on, good brother?
Hey, I'm good, man. So yeah, talk about shopping, man. So I got this hat. They're like, asked me to do a review. All right, so I reviewed it. Then they sent me another 15% off in the mail for my next purchase.
You know what? That's where they get you. They get you with the here's 15% off. I brought a shirt. They was like, well, if you buy another shirt in the next 15 minutes, you'll get 50% off. It's like, well, I gotta buy it now because it's 50% off. Like it's only right, you know. So
not boogie.
Yeah, exactly. Snot boogie. You gotta do it. You gotta let them play. You gotta let Snot play. Ev, what's going on, good brother?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here, Howard. I'm good, chilling.
Yo, tell me this: is this the new studio that you have built from the bottom up?
That's where I was at. I just got putting the drywall up. I got to finish up in the actual booth because the booth is pretty big, and then bring the guys in to do the tape off. Man, it's crazy. I've been in there running electric lines. It's great, but we're pretty much done. It's almost done. So this ain't it. This is just the room right now in the crib.
Okay. All right. No doubt. You already know what it is with me. Let's get right into it. Yo, about a week ago on Twitter, somebody was like, "Oh, gee, why isn't that Busta gets no love?" And I was like, you know what, bro? I got no idea. Why people don't mention Busta more. You know, so I was like, yo, with the crew, I was like, yo, we got to do a salute show to Busta because I feel like he's always left off of people's lists. I've actually seen lists where he's not in people's top 25s. You know what I mean? And the wild part is doing this show, I think I have a reason why I'm going to run past everybody at the end. But before any of that, we're just going to salute Busta, show the brother some love. It was born day, I think 2 days ago. So, you know, we're a week late on the show because I would have loved to have it for them, but it is what it is. So, you know, our salute shows, we're going to talk about when's the first time you heard Busta, when's the first time you knew.
Ain't today's birthday? I thought it was today.
It's yesterday. I think
it was yesterday. Don't get me the line.
Yeah,
bro.
Today's Big's birthday and Havoc's birthday. So.
Okay.
Right. Yo, y'all are amazing to me because I can't keep up with any of y'all birthdays. Like JR is the master birthday album anniversary person. I'm like, bro, how do you know like this is SWV's 12th anniversary? I'm like, bro, you literally know every anniversary. So I'm glad y'all keep up. I don't even know what day it is half the time. So working from home for the past 2 months, I'm lost. So yeah, it was yesterday was his birthday, but we're gonna be talking about first time we heard Busta, when we knew Busta was going to be a problem, top 5 Busta songs, slept on Busta songs, favorite guest verses, everything just saluting Busta today. So, Ev, why don't you tell us? Oh, I apologize. I always go ladies first. Porsche,
start with Ev. No, start with Ev. It's all good.
Oh, right, man. Cool. I was going to use this time. But okay.
Don't worry about it. Vern, you know what? Fuck it. I will start. The first time I heard Busta was, of course, on Lisa New School debut album. I don't even what the hell is a future to the past with a future without a past. It's back in the days when you had like what was my man named Edo G and the Bulldogs all stood for something like Brothers Unlimited
Boys.
Right, exactly. The future without a past. The first time I heard this joint was just in case the PTA. It was crazy, and it's it's the first time I knew Busta was like on some next level stuff. Was of course for me at least Scenario Remix, when he went off with the Dungeon Dragon. But even with Leaders, there was just something that was doper than him over everybody else. And that's no disrespect to Charlie, Dinko, Milo, any of those people. But just when Busta Rhymes, when he set it off, well, not set it off, but when he came in with the Busta Rhymes, the Mighty Infamous, like it was just something about Busta. Sob Story, he had my favorite part because I used to love Pathfinder. So when he was like, then I got my Cherry Pathfinder, that just fit perfect. So it was like one of those, like, it's sad to say, but it was always like, all right, y'all, but where's Busta? Like, where's Busta? Like, it's sad, but it's almost like you could almost tell that he was gonna go solo because you know, he was just so much bigger than the rest of everybody else. But again, when I really knew was the whole Dungeon Dragon joint, which actually always tries to, when I talk about, when I say things like you had to be there, like why somebody 30, will, try to debate somebody 46, like, well, this was that. And I'm like, yo, you had to be there. Because the funny thing is, one of my teens, I was playing some Busta for one of my teens, and I played him Scenario, and I'm like getting him hyped, like, yo, wait for this. And then the Dungeon Dragon part came and went, and he was like, he said, rah, rah, like a Dungeon Dragon. Like, what the fuck? And I was like, but you had to be like, no, he didn't just say it. Yeah. But this is what I'm talking about. You had to be there because nobody, when they first heard Scenario in 92 or 91, when they heard Busta do that Dungeon Dragon, nobody just said, oh, all he did was just go rah, rah, like a Dungeon Dragon. But when you're 30 and you hear it now 20 years later, it's like, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? So that just proves my point, to the point that you had to be there. I'm not saying to be able to grasp the 100% of it, but I mean, to grasp 100% of it, I think you had to be there. I'm not saying you can't be younger and understand it or respect it, but to grasp the whole 100, I feel like you had to be there. So, Porsche, you tell me, when was the first time you heard Busta? When did you know he was a problem?
I wish I had an exciting story like yours. But as you know, I grew up in the middle of the prairies of Canada. So Leaders of the New School wasn't readily available. So I didn't actually hear Busta for the first time until I got a hold of the Lowen Theory and I heard him on Scenario Remix. So, and I was late to that. So it dropped in 92 and I probably heard it 93, I want to say, or something later on. But like the energy is just, that's when you just knew he would do something because the energy is so high on that song that you're just like, he stands out incredibly amongst tribes. So yeah, I mean, that's when I discovered him. And honestly, that song is amazing. That's going to be on my list of verses too. But yeah, I mean, that's when I knew he was a problem. That's when I started liking him. That's when I sort of jumped on that. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but that's how I got Busta.
No doubt, no doubt. What about you, Vern?
Yeah, definitely. Leaders of the New. As you mentioned, Busta Rhymes, the Mighty Infamous. And then like, oh my gosh, it's a new day and the sun is bright. I mean, just his energy and his effervescence, it just jumped out at you. So you knew from day one that he was going to be a problem. And then when he jumped on the Scenario, Dungeon Dragon, it was kind of last days for the boys, man.
Now tell me this, and I mean, well, you know what? I'll wait till we get through everybody. Eddie, what about you? You good, Ed? All right, Ed, what about you, good brother?
Busta. So the first time I heard Busta, like everybody, pretty much everybody, is Leaders of the New School. Case of the PT was probably some. Might have been a track or two here on that Future Without a Past album, only because his voice was just something that you couldn't forget. And when he really put his foot through the wall was of course the Scenario Remix joint. Not the remix, but the Scenario.
Regular
Scenario. Yeah, regular Scenario joint is when But like you said, Kill, it was the thing you had to be there because I remember how that was when a song would last more than a week or a day or a couple of days. Right. That's the longevity of music just had a little bit of a longer lifespan. And I remember when the Scenario came out and everybody was talking about the Busta verse. Everybody was admiring it. You know, you couldn't go nowhere where somebody played it. Everybody got hyped. I remember this is so deep. I remember I was part of a church group, like a church youth group.
Please don't tell me you was playing no scenario in kids Bible study, man.
Yes,
please don't tell me that.
We had some kind of Friday night, and the joint was down the street from you, Kill. Was on uptown, down West Oakland.
Okay.
We went to some like youth night, and it was one of them type joints where you could do video, they would videotape you with all the different stuff in the background, all the effects and stuff, and you would choose your song, and we did scenario. And
I apologize. So the church, must have been a cool. Was this okay? All right, I'm gonna let you finish.
This was some claim.
All right. I'm just not used to churches being like, oh yeah, come on in and we can do Busta Rhymes. You guys can pick whatever song you want.
Some kind of Friday youth night joint, and we went to some spot. I don't know if it was a roller skating ring. I'm not sure what it was, but I know they had the video thing where you can go in and you could do the video, and we could record it and they'll give it to you. And we did scenario. And I was Busta, and I wish I had that footage to this day. We was hype. I mean, hype. We was hype, and it was an uncut. It wasn't like the parental, it wasn't the good. It was the version. And
I would have been hyped because that's like when Kevin Hart said the story. His mom sent him to go tell the teacher, and he like, my mother told me to tell you. Like, do you know how hype I would be at 15, 16, and curse in the church in New Busta? Brother, I would have lost my mind, brother.
Yo, man, it was a moment I'll never forget. Put it like that.
All right, no doubt. Ed, what about you? First time with Busta when you knew he was gonna be a problem?
Yeah, first time with Busta was Scenario. His verse on Scenario and the Scenario remix. When I knew he was going to be a problem, probably then, but definitely when the first album dropped. Then you had the Flavor in Your Ear remix before that. I think that dropped before he dropped his album. But definitely after his album dropped, it was like, all right, it's a wrap.
All right, no doubt. Now tell me this. So we got all that. Now, was it across the board that we all know? Because here's the thing. We're talking 91, and every hip-hop group wasn't breaking up. You know what I mean? In fact, most groups would kind of just start. KMD was coming out, Leaders, it's Tribe's second album. We hadn't gotten to the, Pete and CL breakup and the EPMD breakup and all that. Did you already kind of know that eventually Busta, like, this was not gonna last? Vern, I see you shaking your head like hell yeah. Porsche, did you know? Well, I know you said you kind of came to the party late, but even coming late, did you already know? Did everybody know Busta was like that? This was not gonna work.
Well, for me, it's kind of the reverse. It's kind of like, how was he part of a group when he stands out so much? But going back, I mean, Leaders in New School is fantastic. Like, you can't go wrong there. But yes, it's kind of hard to say because it's hindsight, right? So you're like, oh yeah, of course he's going to go out and be solo. But yes, the energy from Scenario, you just knew that you can't, like, he just shines, right? So you can't have someone with that much energy and someone who can hype up tracks that much be in a group setting. Like, they're just, in my opinion anyway. So
Phil, I'll be honest. Me personally, I can't say that I knew. I think during that time it wasn't the norm for groups to break apart like that. Right. So it wasn't nothing that I really thought about. But I remember when it happened, it was like, oh, Christmas is early because Busta's coming out. Nice. Oh, damn. Like, I remember that feeling, but I don't think I thought about it beforehand because, during that time, I don't know any groups that actually were breaking apart yet. I don't think we had hit that place, that moment yet in the history of hip hop at that point.
Right. And see, for me, I agree with you, Evan. I don't know. I just knew I just wanted to hear Busta. I knew that. Like, that's what I can tell you. So I think it was I think it was like Sound of the Zeekers on here. Like, I love Feminine Fat. Right. Like, I mean, literally. Yeah, even if I didn't want him to leave, it kind of was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, these other cats kind of just, taking up space.
What is another too? Time was a good album.
It was.
Time was not a bad album.
I just didn't like it. It just didn't hit me. Like
Really?
it just I didn't, it just didn't. I think production wise, the thing that I think about Leaders and the hard part with them is they remind me, and if I'm not mistaken, Chuck may have said this, that he kind of molded them after the Cold Crush. So they're very old. So when you listen to Leaders, it's a very Cold Crush. You say 3 verses, I'm gonna say 4. We gonna go back and forth, and I just don't think that style transcended well in the 93, 94, where you had Black Moon, Smith and Wesson, Wu-Tang. So I'm sure if I go back and listen to Time, it's not as bad as I probably thought it was at the time. Like What's Next was a cool first single, but I mean, I think after hearing Scenario and then the remix, and none of the songs on Time kind of were able to line up to some of the songs to me that was on Future.
I have a question for the panel. Can I throw a question in there?
Please do, no doubt.
Do you think Leaders had too many MCs in the group? Because the only other group I know that had, who else had 4 MCs?
Well, was it 4? Because I always thought it was just. I thought Milo in the Dance was like the. I know he rhymed
on time.
I thought he was the DJ in the first group. You know how a lot of groups in the 90s, by the second album, all of a sudden now the fucking DJ wanted to rap. Like Mr. Long wanted to rap on the second Black Sheep album. Like, it seemed like, so I thought Milo was the DJ. And then on the second album, he started rapping.
He was rhyming. Yeah, I don't think he was really on. Was he on the first album?
No.
Don't get me the lying. Don't get me the lying.
I don't even remember Milo being in the picture then. And I was going to say, Kill, I mean, who on their debut album has a solo joint on a group album? He did Feminine Fat that's him all by himself. Right. So that was another telltale sign to me.
Well, Pooba did.
Well, then, okay, great.
Bird, like, great point. We all knew Pooba. Pooba couldn't wait to leave Brand New Biz. He's like, it's like a death sleep. I can't wait to get out of this goddamn group of these. Yeah, I mean, no, those are all true. Like, I don't know if it was 2, because I guess 3, maybe, because at that time it wasn't too many groups with 3 MCs. Yeah, and I guess they had Drake, but I guess NWA, they was kind of like an asterisk sometimes. Because I mean, NWA had what, Cube, Ren, Easy, but you know what? They always had 3 verses, so all of them never rhymed on every song. You know what I mean? So maybe it was a better balancing act, or at the end of the day, Ren is nice, Cube is nice, and Easy was tolerable. You know what I mean? At least for me, it was tolerable. Easy and Dre were tolerable.
Right.
I like Charlie. I thought Charlie was cool. You know what I mean?
Cool.
But
Charlie was cool.
Dingo he didn't have a dope voice. Like, it wasn't anything like there with it. And for me, I'm like, and again, this is no disrespect to any of these MCs. Like, I don't want nobody sending this to Dingo D like, yo, Kill said you can't rhyme. I'm just saying that it's hard when you're at that level of Busta Rhymes, who's just a magnificent talent, to then be able to the other 2 people to be able to go out and do as well and do good too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if a Charlie Brown solo album in 94 would have really popped off. You know, I don't know if a Dingo D solo album in 95 would have popped off like that. You know what I mean? And again, that's no disrespect to them. It's just like, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Ed, did you think it was too many people in the group for Leaders?
Kind of like when I went back, because honestly, I wasn't really up on them before the whole Scenario dropped. I had no clue Leaders of the New School were even out. They weren't even on my radar, but I remember finding my dad had some of the vinyl. He never played it, but he had Leaders of the New School vinyl, so I remember like kind of checking it out for myself, and kind of like the same you said earlier, Kill, just kind of waiting to get to the Busta verse, So in that case, when you are waiting for one person verse, then every person in the group is a person too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Nah, I know what you're saying. It's funny, back in the day, everybody should know by now that Tanya has me as a Beyonce fan. So when she would be listening to Destiny's Child, we'd always be like, yo, why Beyonce always Brody and, Kelly and Michelle, let them sing. And then they started letting them sing. And I was like, where's Beyonce? Just bring her back. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, hey, stop Brody. And it's like, bring them back. So Yeah, for me and Burn Reports, did you think it was too? You think 3 MCs in a group was too many? Like,
You know,
Yeah, I mean, any sort of, I mean, everybody sort of nailed it. Like, yeah, it's just too many. Yeah, it's too many.
I would say this, maybe not necessarily too many. It's just you can't match stamina and energy with Busta, and if you can't, then everybody's gonna be too many. Like you said,
But every group that like has multiple MCs, like Wu-Tang, and I know everyone's like, well, Wu-Tang was a crew, they're not really a group, but in any case, like it's too many MCs to manage on one album even, or somebody's always gonna outshine another, and then I don't know. To me, I just kind of use them as an example and see it that way.
You know what you got me thinking?
And
DJ Rec One, what's up, Rec One?
What's going on, everybody?
If I can add on, one thing I'm saying, listening, I'm thinking, to me, Busta didn't. He was dope with leaders, but he came into his skin on that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like he came into his voice, into who he was, his full style, or whatever that opening door was. I think that happened at scenario. So before that, he was dope. He was good. It worked with the group. He stood out a little bit, but like by the time scenario hit, he just kind of like cleared the whole way.
And the wild part that I'm thinking is that sometimes you almost, with some groups, and maybe at the end of the day, Dinko and Charlie just wasn't that dope. And the reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes you have the MC that's super hype and like laid back, and they even each other out because everybody doesn't want the energy all the time of a Busta. You kind of want the laid back energy of somebody else, but it just didn't fit. And it's so funny because my homegirl got me to read this book to my kids on IG the other day, and it's about this was like Naomi's favorite book when she was a kid, and it's about the rabbit that rhymes crazy fast, the turtle that rhymes crazy slow, and they're from two different their hoods are beefing, and they bring their hood together. They bring their hood together through rapping because nobody can understand her, and he rhymes too slow. So it's almost like it'd be perfect for Busta because some people well, kill. Maybe people don't like Busta because he raps too hype or he raps too fast. But then you could have Charlie and Dinko kind of be that balancing act, but I guess not. But for everybody out there who has been asking me about this, it's called Hip and Hop by Jeff. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. CZEKAJ. And Jeff CZEKAJ, send me some royalties because literally like 20 people have hit me up about this book for their kids. So, but yeah, DJ. Oh, what are you gonna say, Eddie?
Oh, I was gonna add. I started thinking when you were talking about leaders and we were trying to think of groups, with more members. The two groups that pop into my head, they worked with 4 members, but didn't really have a standout to me, and that's the Far Side and Souls of Mischief. They worked, but there was really no standout in those groups for me. What were you gonna say?
No, Vern, you raise your hand.
Yeah, because I could think of one that had 4. They did work, and it's funny. If you talk to 5 different people, you'll get 5 different answers as who is their favorite. Goody Mob. Some people are CeeLo dudes. Some people are Gip dudes. Some people like don't get Cujo or Timo at all, but some dudes swear by Timo and Gip. So I mean, and Cujo. So that's one group that had 4 members, but it worked for at least for a good while.
Right. I know what you're saying. Right. When's the first time you heard Busta, and when did you know he was going to be a problem?
First time I heard him, I probably had to be on something early Leaders of the New School. I hadn't heard anything about Busta Rhymes up until that point. Then when I knew he was going to be a problem, like for real, Scenario Remix kind of had my eyes open, but when your hand Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See came out, I was like, okay, this shit's real, because like he was one of the few people that actually made it happen. You can have all this, rah fever pitch around you and drop a dud, but when he dropped that along with the video, I was like, okay, I'm checking and I'm watching. So to answer your question, that's how I would answer.
right, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So tell me this: top 5 Busta Rhymes songs. Why they your top 5? Porsche, what's your top 5 Busta? Your fave Busta Rhymes songs?
My absolute favorite is "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See," and that's just like, man, I don't even know how to answer. I'd like explain that, because at this point I've watched the video so many times and listened to the song so many times that I can't separate them anymore. Like, I don't know if I can't remember if I like the song, so I checked for the video, or I saw the video and I was like, what the hell? And so I loved, like, it just became infused into one reason. Does that make sense? So "Put Your Hands Where Eyes Can See," and it's not close. Like, I love that song. Pass the Courvoisier, Part 2. I like, I like the original more than most. Maybe I don't love it, but I liked it. But Part 2 was just awesome. Break Your Neck with Method Man, I think. Yeah. That one I love as well. I just think they are great. It just was a very cohesive song for me. Annie Up remix. I love that song. Absolutely love it. And what else? What's Happening with Meth. So, yeah.
What joint is that off of? Do you know?
That's actually on it's actually on a various hits sort of album that was put out way back. But it's a dope joint.
No, What's Happening was on Method Man's album. That was on
which one?
The Tikal Zero, I think.
Second one.
All right.
Tikal Zero, the people, yeah. And Break Your Neck was the joint he did with Dr. Dre.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Dope. All right. No doubt. Vern, what you got for your top 5?
So, and I can't differentiate between solo, this, that, and the third. I'm going to just throw out 5. Feminine Fat is one of my all-time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That him and Tip on Thank You. Stupid.
Yes.
Pass the Courvoisier 2 for sure. Give me some more. I love it. And then I got a bunch of more, but I'm gonna say this one because if he weren't on this song, but what he did on that Chris Brown "Look at Me Now," he lost his mind, man.
I never even heard that joint. Chris Brown joint?
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. That's the joint that everybody sits there and quotes the verses where he's spitting super fast.
Okay.
You've heard it.
That commercial. He was on this commercial with the dude from Game of Thrones, where the guy from Game of Thrones was spitting his verse.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You've heard it. When you hear it, when you do get to hear it, you're gonna be like, okay, I've heard this.
All right, no doubt. So that's your 5, Vern. Ed, what about you?
My top 5. I'm actually looking through some stuff now. I would say my first one, and it's in no real order, but my first one is I got to take it back to Everything Remains Raw. That was like one of my just the idea, the concept, the title. I just thought it was a dope track. It was one of the first songs off the album. Not the first, but one of the earliest songs in the album. And it was the one when back when they would have the video and then they would have the little snippet of another song. I forget where this put in, but this is the one where he was in the car with him and Spliff.
Yeah.
And they started getting like
that was the Night Rider joint.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the Night Rider joint. That was at the end of the Night Rider video.
Was that the Night Rider video?
Yes.
Yo,
man.
Man.
I remember. I got goosebumps telling you about it. It was a Night Rider video.
So sick. So that remains one of my, and I just like the idea of Everything Remains Raw. Like, I actually put that in one of my verses because I'm like, it's just some dope shit. Everything should always remain raw.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, if I jump to Anarchy, Fire off of Anarchy was my shit. Extinction Level Vent, Tear the Roof Off was another one of my joints. I'm trying to think of a fourth. I will say this, I can't think of a fourth one, but the one that I like off his later albums is he got this joint with Stevie. Actually, with Stevie's
I was listening.
I know what you're talking about.
It's a beautiful song. Yeah.
Yo, man, that I gotta give you the name because I feel like I'm doing it injustice if I don't give you the name. I was just looking at it too.
I think that's on the Big Bang or Back on My Bullshit.
Yeah.
It's on Big Bang. Yeah, it's on Big Bang.
That joint, I just play. It's funny because when I saw your tweet that you put up about the Busta tweet, it made me like go back in the crate a little bit, and I had to pull that joint out, and I forget how much I actually love that track.
Hey, it's called "Been Through the Storm."
Been Through the Storm, yeah. And you know, I guess we'll talk about this later, but I really at some point want to get into like Busta as the MC, like what he's actually doing inside his verses. Busta have one of the meanest rides and breath control of everybody. His breath control is immaculate. Like, and it's not like, I don't know how he does it because he did it when he was skinny Busta, and he does it still when he's big Busta. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter the weight, what his weight is, if he's buff, if he's not buff.
So this ain't skinny Luther, big Luther. This is any Busta.
This is just like just up there all the time. So man, I just think something like that. I say Busta's pen, for whatever reason, it's always been up there for me, because if you just listen to what this cat is saying, how he's writing it, how he's playing with the words, how he's playing with the cadence of things, Busta's incredible.
Yes,
all right, no doubt. But you're 100% right. We're gonna get into the dopest things about Busta and what we love about him. Right? What's your top 5?
So of course, Everything Remains Raw. That joint floated around 95, 96 on everybody's mixtapes, and it was fire. I love that song. Party's Going On Over Here. That's a nice B-side banger to get the party started. Everybody Rise starts off the album that way. The Ghetto, Slept On joint. I love that song. Yes, sir. And the Genesis. Spit over the Dilla joint. Dilla joint is that's probably the most left field Dilla joint I've ever heard for somebody to rap on, and he killed it.
That's saying a lot.
He killed it.
No doubt. Eddie, what you got?
Yo, so everything Portia said about this joint, put your hands in my eyes and see.
Right, your voice is kind of down. Your mic level's down.
1 second. 1 second.
All right. I'm gonna jump into mine real quick then. For the first one I got, like Porsche said, put your hands where my eyes could see. I remember Ev, I was on coming from West Oak Lane. I'm on Lime Q Pike. You know what I mean? Passing right past that church in West Oak. And that came on the radio and like, yo. Oh, that's the church you was at. Yeah, okay. Right. I thought you was talking about the one on Old Guys Avenue. Mount Airy Church of God.
Yeah.
But yo, when that song came on, I was just like, yo, we was all in the car, like, yo, what is this? Like, yo, nobody had heard a beat like that. The way Busta was rhyming wasn't the way Busta was rhyming the last time we started. He was doing it, so it was like that was one of those just like stop moments, like, yo. And then when the video came out, it was just made it even crazier. I got New York shit. You know what I mean? The song got on my nerves eventually because every place started coming out with one. Baltimore had one. Everybody had one. You know, just like, all right, y'all, we good. But New York shit was dope. Touch It was my banger too. You know what I mean? That was crazy. I'm with you, Ev. Everything Remains Raw. Just Easy Mo B. Like, that's when Mo B was just in his bag, man. And Mo B snares. I know we talk about everybody else's, but Mo B's got some snares for your ass. And then Woo-Ha. You know what I mean? That was my joint too. You know what I mean? So those are my top 5 Busta joints. Eddie, you good?
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yep.
Yeah, I had to ditch the headphones, man, because they were tripping. But what I got Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. For I think Portia nailed it on that one, man. But that joint, you know, from the video to the song, man, it's just crazy. And I don't know who produced that beat, but that shit was crazy too. Then I got Ill Vibe with Q-Tip, produced by J Dilla. Love that joint from the first album.
Yes, sir.
Everything Remains Raw. And that was on the Woo-Ha video. That was the beginning of the Woo-Ha video when they were in the car. And the crazy thing is, like, I was looking forward to the Woo-Ha video, because that was his first single. But then I got more hype for Everything Remains Raw. Like when it cut off to go to the to Wuha, I was like, nah, keep this shit on.
Yeah.
So that I got Better Stay Up in Your House with Rod Digger. That joint crazy, man. And I got a joint that's kind of a little low key. You might have missed it, although he had a video for it. It's called "Don't Touch Me." Throw the water on him. So
yeah,
usually when that video dropped, and that video was crazy. It's like him and Spliff in the video, and that was supposed to be on the back of my Bullshit album, but it didn't make the album. But I still love that joint. It's crazy, like the energy that you expect. Crazy verses, the hook.
All right, dope. Tell me this, y'all. Slept on. So if somebody's watching this show, you know, a lot of us name the same joints for that. But if you're telling somebody who's never really heard Busta, stuff like that, like, yo, some slept on bangers, what you got for that? Porsche, what about you?
I've got, hold on, I have my list right here. I have We Made It featuring Linkin Park. It's weird that I like this song, but somehow I can tolerate Linkin Park whenever they're in a featured with a rapper that I really like. So
now hold tight. I never knew Busta even had a song with Linkin Park. So
yeah,
where's this from?
This is oh man.
That's
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm back on my Bullshit, but didn't make it.
All right, I'll figure it out. But
yeah,
Busta and Linkin
Park. That one, yeah, the Busta and Linkin Park is definitely it's good. And honestly, Linkin Park matches the energy. It's a really good track all around, and I like it. I was surprised that I liked it. And then I have Thank You featuring Q-Tip. I don't really hear very many people talking about it. I think that's definitely slept on. I got The Ugliest featuring Big, and I was listening to that today again, and I was just floored. Like, they're great. Their styles are so different, but they just sound so good. And I attribute that, you know, I don't need to go into that right now, but anyways, yeah. So those are my slept on. I don't think I had 5, but yeah, just off the top, that's. Yeah.
All right, no doubt. What you got, Vern?
Brother, on Tribe Called Quest last album, Mobius, Busta Rhymes was like he was waiting for his homies to get out of prison, and when they got out, he just wilded out, man. What he did on that song.
Hold on for 1 second, bro. I just zoomed in on F's face because whenever we talk about right. I just put it out there. Yeah. Right. I had to zoom in on F's face for people watching. Like, why? Right, I wanted to zoom in because you know F texts me like sporadically throughout life.
My Facebook features, I'm holding together.
I know, but I'm just letting people know sporadically. I will just be walking down the street and I'll get a text from F like, still listening to that Tribe. Like, it just comes throughout life. But I'm with you, Vern. Mobius. Go back to what you were saying, good brother.
All right, yeah. So like if I had to show somebody who was Busta Rhymes, I would play that song. I'm gonna go back to the original album, Zone Coaster. Busta set that one off.
He killed that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, oh my God, actually ended up being a hook for a Tribe song. Shut Them Down. People don't talk about it, but I love that one. And then he did Heavy D's A Bunch of Niggas. I like how he sparked that one. And last one, Flip Mode meets Def Squad.
Okay. All right, no doubt. Ev, what you got for slept on Busta joints?
Slept on Busta joints. I'm gonna say check out that Imperial album, the Flip Mode joint, man.
Yes, sir.
Busta got so many. I mean, off the top of the dome, just everybody on the line side. That's one. His verse on "We Got You Open," which is the Black Moons one that they redid. It's just that album. Actually, was to me, it was almost more of a Busta album than anything. Because he had so, I mean, his even though it was like, you know, it was a posse joint, but he had his verses was just so ridiculous on that. So that would be the first thing I go to is that album.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Rhett?
So I got 4. Ev got me on One Everybody on the Line Outside. That was a club joint back in like 97, 98. So if you haven't heard it, you wasn't around in the clubs back then. The Goodness, his verse on that joint with Redman, it's not heard often because they took it off, but he killed that verse. You can get an original copy of the album. It'll be on there.
Why they take it off, you think?
I don't know, man. Every time you hear that song, for the most part, it's not on there. But if you go and you listen to it on Spotify or you got like the original copy, he's on that song.
Okay.
I don't know why they took it off. I don't know. But The Goodness was a banger. Give Me Some Mo. He kills that. I mean, that's the first time I think we heard Busta rapping over something crazy. Do the Busta Bus. I don't think he gets credit for that one. Let me see. See what I got. Turn Me Up Some. Turn Me Up Some. That's the sleeper. That's the 8-1 sleeper for me. Turn Me Up Some. If I want somebody that's never heard Busta, with the exception of like Leaders of the New School, I'm gonna play Turn Me Up Some.
All right, no doubt. Ed, what you got?
So Slept On. This joint called the ambulance.
Oh, yeah, man, tell the big of your people.
Yeah.
Loudness.
Yes.
Oh, the ambulance.
I want to say that was another joint like the Everything Remains Raw when it was in a video for a different song. But just energy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I got that. I got Can't Hold the Torch with Q-Tip. Another one with Q-Tip I got For the Nasty.
Has anybody heard that joint?
Yeah. Yo, like when that dropped, I thought for sure they were gonna come out with an album together, man.
They were supposed to. That was the Dragon and the Abstract, right?
Yeah, the Abstract and the Dragon.
Yeah.
I got this joint, Calm Down, and the reason why it's probably slept on is because it's featuring Eminem. So I mean, it's not slept on for Eminem fans, but it's slept on for those who don't want to hear Eminem. But it's a crazy joint. It's dope. And then I got this other joint, Wheel of Fortune. That one was actually on the back of my bullshit. That was the intro. And after that joint, I don't know if it's true or not, but at the end of that joint, he said, "Pretty crazy for a sound check." Like that was supposedly like the sound check that came out crazy, and they put it to kick off the album. Oh, wow. But it's dope. Yeah.
All right. No doubt. I got a couple of joints that you already named. I'm with you, Ed, with the Wheel of Fortune joint. Show Me What You Got off of Anarchy, a Dilla banger. Black Owl off of Anarchy. That was crazy to me, too. Tear the Roof Off, which is probably one of the only Swiss beats I liked during that whole Swiss Beats period. Like, I love Tear the Roof Off. Like Ed said, You Can't Hold the Torch with Tip. Ill Vibe with Tip off the Coming. Thank You with Tip off the Abstract and the Dragon. That's what really hit me with Bust, because I'm like, yo, this dude is still killing it. Like, it's 2013, and like the way he's riding that Thank You is just stupid. You know what I mean? And then Abandoned Ship with Rampage off the Coming. Like, Abandoned Ship was just stupid to me.
That was a fun song.
Yeah, and then I know it's not really his song, but I loved him. I loved his energy on Wild for the Night. It was Rampage Last Boy Scout.
He has no verse on that track.
Right. But that's the thing with Busta is that him just doing the hook is like Vern said on Oh My God, like on Tribe. It's like he don't have a hook, but you might as well give him a hook. I mean, he doesn't have a verse, but the hook is damn near as good as the verse.
And I realized I only like that song because of Busta.
And Ruck being a DJ, like, because I know anytime I heard that song in the club, they always bring back that part. Always.
Listen, man, I have about 4 copies of that record because I used to run through it so much. Like that record, that was a record you had to have in 97, 98. You had to have that record. Especially being in the South Jersey, Philly, Pennsylvania area. If you didn't have that record, you couldn't play no certain spots.
What you was about to say, Vern? I think Vern frozen for a second. All right, guest verses. Busta is known for tearing down guest verses. Always done it, did it. I'm sure we all have Scenario in a Scenario remix. So I mean, we could just get those out there. I had to put both because I think he may be one of the few people who has killed the original and then came back and killed the remix too. both times. So I got both those joints. What are some of the other guest verses that Busta had that stands out for you? Vern, are you back? You good? Did you want to say something from the last time, right?
Yeah. Now I was saying Busta pushed Q-Tip on Thank You, because Tip doesn't necessarily rhyme like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Busta was just running it, and Q-Tip kind of got in the flow of that. I mean, I have so many guest verses on my other list. I would just throw out Annie Up.
Okay. All right.
Because he mastered energy. Yeah.
All right. No doubt. Porsche, what you got?
I got Annie Up and Flavor in Your Ear remix with and in addition to the ones that the scenario, obviously. Those are my top 3 like forever favorites. So
Right. Ed, what about you?
I would never invite him to do a guest verse, by the way.
He's not invited to the cookout to do a guest verse. Is what He can't come.
No. Here's the thing. I don't even know if you can hold it against Busta for bodying you on your own song. You know what I mean? Because it was almost at that time and point, you'd rather catch the body, take the L, but then you win in the long run because your song got Busta on it. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna take the L, but then I'm gonna win because more people gonna want to listen because I got Busta. You know what I mean? So I think that's the way that most folk looked at it. Because I mean, you're really not gonna out rap prime Busta, you know, at that time. You know what I mean? So all you can do is really hope to keep up. You know what I mean? Like, you just try to keep up. You know, try to do the best.
Stop, you gotta hope to contain them.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So you take the L, but you win in the end because at least you can say, I got a song with Busta under my belt. Ev, you got any other guest verses that he stood out for you?
Actually, don't. This is part of the homework assignment that I didn't have a chance to do, so I don't have anything except for this.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Rhett?
I would say the joint from Tribe. Oh my God, because there's a remix with him on that. I'm trying to think of stuff that people don't know. Guess verse wise. He got a joint with Nori. Damn, it's on Nori's first album. I don't remember the name of it, but it's crazy. It's I can't remember the name of it, but it's on Nori's first album. That's really all I got. I'm not really in the Busta and guest verses after 98, 99. The commercial stuff I just wasn't feeling it. Wasn't my thing.
I feel you. What about you, Eddie?
All right, man. I need to make up for all of y'all, man. So I got a long list. So we don't have to mention Scenario in the remix. That's already there. I got the Theme Part 2 by Tracy Lee, which is the After Party. Like that joint was crazy. I think that was like the last track on Many Faces. Dope. Flavor in Your Ear remix. Annie Up, someone already mentioned it, the Annie Up remix. Wild for the Night, Portia mentioned it earlier. She also mentioned What's Happening earlier. I got the Selena Johnson joint that I mentioned in a different show, man, but that joint was crazy. I think I mentioned on the remix show, the Tonight I'm Gonna Let Go remix with Busta. Dope. Then I got, what else? Features. I already mentioned For the Nasty, that Chris Brown joint you guys already mentioned. And then this Tech Nine song. Tech Nine was never ever on my radar, but what Busta did on that joint, Worldwide Choppers, I think it's called, man, he burned that shit down. It's like what he did on that is kind of like what I can't compare it to what Black Thought, but it's kind of like what Black Thought did on the Bird's Eye View, like he just shut it down.
All right, no doubt. Now tell me this: we were talking earlier with Ev. I wanted to get into what are the dopest things about Busta for you? Like, we always talk about attributes of a dope MC. Everybody is hype about this show. This was a show I'm texting everybody. Vern sending me back gifts. I actually think Vern's part-time job is making and selling gifts on the low. Like, I think, because I don't know anybody who can respond with a gift on every form of communication and the gift be perfect, but Vern. we're all hyped for Busta. What is it that stands out for Busta? Like, what do y'all think is his dopest attribute? If you have one thing, and for me, this Bruce Lee quote always stood out to me about now, be formless, be shapeless like water. You put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. You put water in a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put water in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. I kind of feel like that represents Busta. Like, I feel like he can become whatever you need him to become, and it fits in perfectly. You know what I mean? If you need him to rap fast, he can rap fast. You need him to rhyme slow, he can rhyme slow. Here's one thing. He actually did this on Supreme Blientel with West Side Gun, and I kind of didn't like it because then he became Coke Buster. Buster was moving kilos and everything. And I was like, all right, Buster, we know you're not moving kilos. But what I love was he just tried to adapt to who he was with. So he's like, I'm rapping with guns in them. Let me rap about Coke, and it's crazy slow. So I just think Buster can, like, the way he's spitting over, the thank you, he could just do it all. I feel like there's really you can't box Busta in anywhere because he can kind of give you everything, and he gives you everything nice. He's almost like a Lamar Odom type player who, if you need him to go out and guard your 2, 3, or 4, he can do that. If you need Lamar to run the point, he can do that. You need him to go in the post, he can do that. Like, he's your all-around player who can give you, the coach can put him in any position and he can win. So that's what I think is Busta's dopest attribute. Vern, what about you? What do you think is Busta's dopest attribute as an MC?
Like you said, he's formless, and he's not, because some dudes try to be everything to everybody and it doesn't work. But Busta is dope for that. I love his cadences and his patterns, man. I love the risk that he takes. He doesn't just hold himself in a box. Like Ev said, his pen is slept on. And just for me, I guess if I had to pick one thing, it would be his cadence / his flows, man. How he'll take a pattern, like on put your hands where my eyes can see. What you're saying, yo, dilly, yo, really, yo. I love how he does that, man. So he's an ultimate MC, man.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Porsche?
For me, it's I view Busta as like a complete artist, and what I mean by that, there are complete artists obviously across hip hop, but Busta is complete in that. I mean, you guys named it. I love his energy. I love his flow. They're unique. They're very unique to him, and he stands out as a result of it. But I also love that he nails music videos. He just, and yes, it's attributed to hype as well. But Busta is in, and it goes back to that quote you read by Bruce Lee, because you put him in these like different settings and different sort of, each video looks different, and it's always a giant production. And that's something that when I would watch Rap City, like here in Canada, I don't know if it was the same as the Rap City you guys got, but when Busta's videos were dropping, it was like a countdown. And I don't know if you guys had that, but we definitely had an entire, like, leading up to it. There was a countdown for a new Busta Rhymes video. And I think as a result of that, in the 90s, when he was like, doing all these things, that made it something to look forward to. And no other MC for me had that ability at all. Not even Big. And I love Big's videos, but Busta's videos, it's not even close. And to me, that makes him an overall complete artist in the true sense, because not only is he a dope MC, not only does he have a dope flow, not only is he unique and he stands out, but then he also nails every single music video that comes out time and time again. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I love it.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Ev?
Oh man, I'm gonna try to keep it short because there's so much you can go into.
You know what? Why don't you? I'm gonna let you. What's that shit they do in the race? The last person. What's the last person, y'all, in the race when y'all running relay race? You give it to last.
Anchor.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you anchor it, Ev, since you're the MC. You're the resident MC, so you're gonna break this down on a whole nother level. So I'm gonna let you anchor this one. Ed, you go with your joint. What's your number one attribute about Busta?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the creativity, and that goes into all things. I mean, it goes into what Vern was saying about his flows. It goes to what Portia was saying about his videos, which I think the only other artist I could think of that every video was an event was probably Missy. But you know that I mean, like, and it goes to what Kill was saying about he's like water. He flows. I mean, he got these high energy joints. Then he got a smooth joint with Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey. He got a joint with Stevie Wonder. I mean, he could really, do it all. And I really feel like he pushes himself. He tries new things. Like, I mean, for him to be on that Chris Brown song, right? And that may not be everyone's favorite song, but for him to be on that song, which, Chris Brown is a newer artist, and for him to steal the show in the way that he did, to where now the young kids are like looking up, Busta Rhymes, oh man, like, looking up his catalog because what he did was crazy. I mean, that's talent. I mean, true talent. I mean, he's so creative.
All right, no doubt. What about you, right?
For me, I'm gonna say it's energy, man. He comes with the same energy all the time, and I think people, they look for that from him. I remember hearing an interview from Big Daddy Kane from a song they had did. I think it was called "Come On Down." I forget the name of it, but I know the song is in my head. Busta had did his verse and did not give like that Dungeon Dragon energy, and Big Daddy Kane asked him to go back in the booth and like, I need the row or something. Like, I need that energy. So if you hear the song at the end, he's yelling because he had to go back into the booth to do that part of his verse. And I think people, feed off of that. Like how you were saying earlier, with Tip feeding off of that energy from the Abstract and the Dungeon the Dungeon Dragon project. People need that sometimes. Your energy is only going to sustain you enough, and you need that one person that's going to be on 1,000 when you're doing certain projects. So I think that energy is what people, look forward to.
All right, no doubt. Ev, resident MC, you break down everything about why Busta's a dope MC.
Well, a lot of it's been said. I'll just add on, and I'll say, for me, one of the biggest things is his breath control. Busta he's probably, I would say he has the best breath control in the business. There's also, there's Pun, there's a couple other ones that are still in that kind of range with him, but I think Busta, the way that he's, been able to maintain that throughout his career is pretty amazing. I also say this is one of the things about Busta, and for a long time, Busta stood alone by himself. Now there's two people, but I will always say Busta is that one cat that, as an MC, he can start in the underground, he can cross over and go pop and go real pop, and still come back. Most MCs, the majority of people can't do that. They don't have the wit. They don't have the pen game. They don't have just the understanding of how to get inside of the track and really ride that beat a certain kind of way. But Busta, I think he's like a Picasso in a sense, and he's able to come out and be the underground bus, and then go out and do the pop stuff and be the pop bus, and then come back. A lot of times when people cross over, they can't really come back. And the Busta has been one of two people now in my mind that can actually do that. Another thing that we don't talk about enough is Busta had one of the best hype men in the business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Best hype man in the business. I remember going to see this cat perform. It was some spot in Philly off of Delaware Ave, and it was one of the hype Busta tracks. And Spliff literally, I mean, everybody stage dive. He didn't stage dive. He jumped off the stage. He came down feet first. Not like this. He came down feet first into somebody's chest, like that was behind me. I was like, this dude and he just jumped and came down and stood up. He had one of the best hype men in the business, and I think just their chemistry that they had on stage and on video is just is unparalleled, man. It's something that cats should be looking and studying and talking about for a very long time. But I think with all those things, and then just to bring it back is Busta's, the way that he formed words together, his actual pen, his actual, not just how he did it, but what he actually said. Busta's he's a dope cat. He's a dope cat. He's an all around MC, and he's been an all around MC. And I salute him. And he's been in the game for God knows how many years now. But I think he's had just a phenomenal run as far as what the artistry of MC can look like.
All right, no doubt. Another thing I want to salute Busta for is just the producers he's been able to rock with, and again, be like I said, be like water. Because I mean, you got him over Dilla Beach, you got him over Ill Vibe, Hold the Torch, Still Shining. You got him over Mo B's Grittiness with Everything Remains Raw, DJ Scratch with the New York shit. You got Knots, the stuff he's done with Knots and Get Out, and the stuff he was doing with Flip Mode. Swiss with Tear the Roof Off and Pastor Cavassier, and even Tear the Roof Off and Touch It, and then the Neptunes with Pastor Cavassier and all that. All right, y'all.
And Pete Rock.
Oh, what did he do with Pete?
He did Shut Him Down 2002.
Shut him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I never even heard that joint.
Yo, I got a quick question. The Swiss thing.
What?
There was a time when Swiss was playing like an unheard Busta cut on like one of the social media on video. Did that album ever come out, or did I miss that? Did it come out?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
It was a couple
I'm the absolute wrong person to ask about anything Swiss. Like I have no idea. I don't know why
it sounded like it was a project they were working on that was going to come out, but I don't know if it ever did.
I mean, I don't know. According to Swiss, him and Nas got a whole album. I don't know what's up with Swiss. I'm the wrong person to ask. But here's the thing I got. And I think I've come up with why Busta isn't looked at as a top tier MC. And I want to see if y'all agree with this. Number one is the albums. I honestly don't think, going through this hoopla, he has 8 albums. I don't think most of his albums are good, in my opinion. Like, to do this show, I was going through all the albums. I think he has 2 classics with The Comin' and The Big Bang, but that's 96 to 2006. Now, in that time frame, these other albums like When Disaster Strikes, Extinction Level, Anarchy, Genesis, It Ain't Safe Now, Back on My BS, that's no album I'm listening to, a whole Busta album. I'm not like, oh, I'm getting on this, I gotta go see Ev in LA. I'm gonna take a Busta album and that's all I'm going to listen to for the whole entire time. Now, that's one thing. Now, the other thing I looked at, and I've never said this before, but is Busta just like a Meth and a Luda? Is Busta really only dope for that Hot 16? You know what I mean? And I don't know why I never thought about that before, because we did a show about the Meth and Ludas, the MCs that are only really dope for guest verses like that. So is that a problem? And then 3, the longevity. And what I mean by that is I feel like it's a gift and a curse, because it's great to be around all these years, but I also feel like you may be trying to keep up with different styles that will kind of make folk walk away. You know what I mean? And I did it like this. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I did a thing with, you got Monch's longevity, Foul Monch, and Busta's longevity. Both started in 91 with their groups, Organized and Leaders. Now, by 96, Busta was already on his debut. 97, Monch was still with Organized with their what's that last album we loved? Equinox album. You got Foul dropping his first debut in 2000. By 2000, Busta's already 4 albums in. I mean, Busta was dropping an album every year. And now we get down to 2010. Monch is on his 3rd album. Busta's already tapped out with his 8 albums. I'm looking at Monch for me, and I'm looking at it like he always knew his audience. Like, Monch never tried to cross over. Like you were saying, Ev, I think Busta does a great job of being able to cross over and come back. But that doesn't necessarily mean us backpackers like that crossover shit he does. You know, so he's able to come back. So I always feel like Busta was kind of trying to keep up with all the different audiences. Like, for a while, he's doing songs with Janet and Mariah. He's doing, Pastor Cavassier. And even though those songs were bangers, just being at 88.9, we didn't play Pastor Cavassier because that's a club song. We were the underground Stretch and Bobbito show, so we weren't playing half of the stuff I'm saying is my favorite Busta songs. The underground hip hop show isn't playing, whereas with March, we're playing everything. And at the end of the day, with March, it's 2020. I'm fiending for a new March album. I ain't gonna hold you. 2020, I don't want a new Busta album. I really don't. I mean, it's one of those things. If it comes out, I'll listen. But I'm not fucking sitting around praying to the hip hop gods like, please make Busta get in the studio and make an album. Whereas I'm doing that with March. So from those three things, not enough classic albums. Just is he just a dope guest person and has longevity hurt Busta? I think for me, that's why I mean, he's not in my top 10, but I'm like, yo, he's kind of at the cusp. But almost after doing this, he may be a little further away from the cusp than what I first thought when people asked me. Do y'all agree, Bert?
I gotta, if I can actually speak to one of those points. I think Busta's issue is it's kind of like you're a screenwriter. You know that, and all screenwriters and actors, you know that you can't come out at 10. You have to come out and kind of like get to 10. And 10 is your climatic point. I think the problem with Busta is everybody's looking for the, after Scenario, everybody was looking for the hype Busta. You got Everything Remains Raw. Everything has to be the hype. You can't listen to a whole album of hype shit. At some point, your ear is going to get tired. You're just going to be like, yo, you're going to get air fatigue. You're going to be like, look, I need something else to kind of break this up. But I think at the same point in time, what you like about Busta is what you can't take a whole lot of after time with Busta.
Now, see, I don't know because I could challenge you with MOP. MOP can yell at me all day, and I never get tired of MOP.
But even with MOP, they're not necessarily yelling at you the whole time because Dance is not always yelling. Not even Fame too. If you look at that Warriors album, Calm Down, you got a bunch of tracks in there that they're just like in the pocket. It's just MOP, so they sound like they still smack you in the face with a brick because it's MOP. They're not necessarily yelling the whole time. But whereas with Busta, I think that and he spoke to that on the Abstract and the Dragon joint. It's like people just wanted that hype that the Dragon all the time, and to do an album behind that is that's kind of difficult to do. I think he tried it, with pretty much every album. Yeah.
And see, to me, I think he has songs like On the Coming. I want to say he has like one of my favorite songs is a joint with Janae. It's a party. Like that's not nothing super hype.
I can't.
I ain't mind that joint. He got another joint with Erykah Badu. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
you don't like that shit. Yeah, okay. You don't like. Okay. See,
I can't.
Right. So tell me this, y'all. So do y'all think any of those three things, the longevity, not enough classic albums, he got 8 albums, and this is just my opinion. Y'all may think he has 8 classic albums, but outside of the Big Bang and the Coming, you give me one of those 6 albums in between to drive to go see Burn in Atlanta, nigga, I'm dead by the time I get to North Carolina. I'm not listening to that shit all the way to Atlanta and back. Yeah. So, what you got, Brad?
All right, so I kind of agree with you. The albums are sporadic, but here's my take. Those albums have a theme. And he's talking about, the whole Extinction Level event. He's talking about that from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So those first 4 albums are a theme. Mm-hmm. I think he is a classic person that comes out of a group, and that personality is that personality of that group. You can only write so much about the world supposedly coming to end in what was that, 2000, and then now you got to find all this stuff. I think the trouble with him is he just has trouble writing full albums. When you have to write about something else, because you said it, we got them first 4 albums every year from 96, 97, and the 98, 99, 2000, right? He had something to write about. The end of the world. That was the theme. That was what everybody was talking about. When 1999, switch over to 2000, the world gonna end. So you take that, you take the book, Behold the Pale Horse, now you have something to write about.
Watch out. Come on now.
Look, man, now that that's not the case, what more can you write about?
Still here.
Right, you're still here. So what more can you write about? I think that not being able to find something else to write about, having the curse of coming from a group and being the big personality in the group and only having to write 12, 16s. Now you got to write a whole album. I just think, like you said earlier, is just you get tired of it. And his personality has saved him. His personality and the fact that, like Porsche said, he's a visionary. He sees his songs in video. The fact that he's able to do that, it saved him. But with you doing the homework,
is that a problem now? Because now we don't have videos. We don't have Hype Williams videos.
It's the Ray Allen curse. Early on, you dropping 25 a night. You're able to give somebody the in and out game, the mid range. Now, when you're 34, you ain't got them legs. Your bunnies is shot. The only thing you can do is shoot threes. That's Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes is the shoot three guy. When you need somebody to come in hype and you want an old school cat, you bring in Bust. He don't have the legs no more. He don't got that mid range game.
All right, what you think, Var?
Yeah, I would say a lot. What you kind of echoing a bunch of y'all points. I think his albums just he can't hold the whole album together for a long time. I mean, number one, he has too many songs on his albums, man. I mean, 18, 20. I mean, that's too many songs, especially if you can't diversify, different things. So, and I think that's the curse more than anything else. I mean, his longevity, I won't hold that against him because he's still relevant. He can still get on somebody's, put his muddy boots on somebody's sofa and mess them up for a 16. But yeah, his album output, he had too many albums that weren't classics. That is the reason why he's not listed in that upper echelon, because he's a killer MC.
Yes,
right. And again, the longevity, I wasn't trying to hold that against him. I was just saying that it's the gift and the curse, because with longevity, you got to find a way to still stay relevant. You know what I mean? It's almost like, I don't know if y'all remember when The Rock broke up and Beans was I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity for people to do what they want. And Beans did an album with Dre and Vidal and was still trying to do R&B stuff, whereas Freeway just found his lane. Freeway just said, you know what? I'm for these gutter niggas over here. I'm a backpacker. That's what I'm going to run with. Similar with Jadakiss and Styles. Jada is still trying to make radio songs. And Styles P found his audience. And now there was a time when I remember a time when Kiss was the flat down dopest MC in the lots, period. Now you got people saying, nah, it's Styles. And I feel like Styles found his audience. And Styles has that longevity. I'll always look forward to a Styles album than a Jadakiss album. You know what I mean? And I never thought telling me 15 years ago that I would say that. Same thing. And that's why I meant by with Monch, it's like when you know your audience, you kind of know I'm not going to do no song with Janet Jackson. I don't think Pharoah Monch is going to do a song with Janet Jackson. I don't think Styles would do a song with Janet Jackson. Kiss would probably try to do a song with Janet Jackson. You know what I mean? Busta did a song with Janet. So it's almost just for me, it's the longevity is good, but it's just you got to decide what MC you want to be. What do you think, Porsche?
I think I'm not mad at people who say that The Coming and When Disaster Strikes is a classic. I'm definitely not mad at that, but I do agree with Vern. The track lists are a little exhaustive. But I also think that where I think Busta sort of blurs is that he's I love the Coming album. I love his debut album. It's one of my favorite albums. However, when you are I think what people forget, or some people who weren't around don't realize, is that in the 90s, in that period of mid 90s, Busta Rhymes was everywhere all the time. You could not, he was just everywhere. He was the guy to have as a feature, like you said earlier. So what happens at that point is you sort of get comfortable being this guest guy, and you're good at these guest appearances, and you're nailing all these, tracks, and people keep wanting you on their tracks. So why would he change? It's like that thing. Why would he change that, right? Or why would he try harder to get a good solo album going when he's getting all of this relevancy from everybody else? So for me, again, that's why I don't rank Busta. I don't rank Busta in my top 25. I have him sort of lower than that, but that it's not really a bad thing. I think Busta is so unique in what he did. And you guys know Method Man is my favorite featured MC ever. But Busta Rhymes is right there too. You know what I mean? He's one of the best featured MCs. And I think that's where his lane is potentially if we're ranking them. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to be ranked with LL Cool J and Black Thought and Big Pun, he needs to be ranked with like Method Man, Jada Kiss, further guest appearances. That's what I think. I categorize them about what they're doing.
I understand what you're saying, Portia. I'm with you.
All right. What about you, Ev? What you think?
I mean, to all the points, man. The only thing I would actually, it's a question I have is, did Busta, am I mistaken, did Busta become like a sex symbol at some point in his career?
A what?
I have no idea.
He got buff. Yeah.
I think that kind of has something to do with it, because that's when he started doing like, you know, yeah, girl, I think
you
that,
think that you do that one more time, man.
Nah, man, nah.
Can you do that one more time?
No, because you can put it on Twitter, and all you're gonna do is
actually right.
I know how this works out in editing. I'm not.
He's gonna be the commercial for this episode.
I know how
good, man. That was good. That was good.
I think when he stopped doing, because I understand you want to get off the row Dungeon Dragon shit, but I think he went way on the opposite end and kind of did like a little bit of a Big Daddy Kane, a little bit. Big Daddy Kane, and try to get like super, sensual with it or whatever the case may be, and that might have had something, to do with it. But I think to the point of to Vern's point, it's too many songs on those albums. Actually, to Vern's point, there's too many songs on those albums without question. Like, you got enough for 2 albums. Like, maybe if they would have like kind of chopped them down, you might have like some like 3 or 4 classic albums here. And also to Rex's point, when you're the one that's talking about the world is coming to an end when 2000 hits or something to that effect, and it doesn't, it's like, okay, so what you gonna talk about now? So I think he might have kind of put himself in a kind of a weird situation. After that, it's like, okay, now what do I talk about? Right. Back out here with. So I think I think it's some really great points to why he's not where he should be. But I will say, Busta as an MC. See, I don't do top 10. I don't do past 5, but I can see him in my top 10, 12, somewhere like that.
All right, we're gonna get to that about where he ranks with us. Ed, what do you think? Do you think any of those points I made, longevity, all of that stuff, the albums, is a reason why he's not? Because the wild part is when people started this conversation, I was like, I don't know why. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm always telling people on Twitter, well, off the top, this and that. But after doing the research, I kind of like, I think these are the reasons why we don't look at Busta like that. And I don't know why it took me so long to now look at Busta as just being that guesser, being that Meth, being that Luda, who, if I know they're just coming with that, but I've never been excited for a Meth or Luda album in my life either. So what do you think, Ed?
So I think, the point you made about track listing was spot on. And the funny thing was,
I want to give props for props to do. That was Vern
with
track listing.
Yeah, no doubt. So the two albums that you call the classic hill, right? The Coming and the Big Bang. The Coming is 13 tracks. The Big Bang is 15 tracks. That's where he needs to stay.
Good point.
But every other album is like 19, 20, 21. Like, that's too much. But I also feel like Busta is a singles artist. Like, he's featured, like he kills a feature, but he's singles. Like, he very rarely misses on his singles. But I think when you shoot that for as many dope singles as he has, it's kind of hard to make a cohesive album when you're shooting for the radio, you shoot for the singles, because I'm trying to think, the Coming, my favorite songs on the Coming are not the singles. But most of his other albums, like probably, the singles are among my favorite songs. Like, he got other dope tracks, but it's like when you hear the singles and then you hear the rest of the album and it doesn't quite live up to that, then I think that's where the problem comes in. And I would say, he has other dope albums. I would agree with you, Kill, that those two are his only classics. I do think he has a couple 4 mic albums, and then he got like some 3 mic albums.
Right.
I don't think he has any albums that are completely whack, except for maybe his latest, you know, the one. I mean, the back of my BS was kind of, it had some joints, but it was kind of like some experimental stuff that he probably should have stayed out of. And I want to say there was an album after that that I just didn't pay attention to.
Yeah, and no doubt, and by no means was I saying Busta's other albums were trash. It's just, you know, they're not. I can't listen to. I'm gonna be doing some skipping. I know that. If I'm on the road with this, I'm not just riding all the way to wherever I'm going. If I'm just going to work, it's gonna be some skips going on, and probably too many skips for somebody who I would want to put in my top 10 MC list. You know, what's up, Vern?
Hey, you know how those cats that could be great fathers on Father's Day and birthdays and Christmases, but if you got to keep the kid there every day, do homework, give him a bath, you know.
Oh my God, man!
I'm being serious, man. I wasn't trying to be funny, but but think of I wasn't trying to be funny, man.
Yeah.
Does the chair spin?
This mofo said, "Who can beef?" Yo, this nigga just called Busta Rhymes an absentee father. He
called him a Christmas dad.
Yeah, he's a Christmas dad. Like, yo,
Okay.
Yo, and you know he got like 6 kids too, man. So it's like, yo, this dude don't even show. Yeah, he does. He got like 3 sons and like 4 daughters. Like, oh wow, that's a good one, bro. But keep going, keep going. I see your point now, but
yeah, I mean, it's back to what everybody said, like features and singles and stuff like that. But whole album, not his thing. But okay, I'm sorry, man. That wasn't a diss.
Nah,
I love Busta.
Nah. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one. All right, yo. So does Busta make your top 10? For me, he doesn't. He's probably in that 15 to 20, maybe even a 17 to 25-ish range. Just because after doing the show, I realized like I'm really more of a fan of Busta for his features, which is something that I always bang Meth and Luda and Jadakiss for you know, not being able to do. And I'll give it to Busta because he does at least have 2. You know, the other MCs I'm naming don't even have 1 classic album. So I can't. That's the part that makes me not want to throw him in that field over there, because I don't feel like Luda, Meth have classic albums at all. Jadakiss have classic albums, and Busta does have 2. But he's like teetering on that line of that. So I'll probably say 15 to 20. I'll say that. I'll say Busta falls into my 15-20 range somewhere. Vern, what about you?
You know, I hate this part of it.
I know you hate deep.
I would say this, if I had to think about it, probably 20, 25, 30, but think about it. If you are in a top 25 MC of all time, how many hundreds of MCs there are? That is not a diss.
Not at all.
You have etched out a space in hip hop that everybody talks about you, just not down there. So I say in the 20s.
You know how I like to put it, Vern? If we're doing what our March Madness brackets, and you're in you make the bracket. You know what I mean? You're in the bracket. You're a top 25 MC. There's 64 MCs that can make the bracket. Okay, so you got people mad because they don't make the bracket. You know what I mean? Yep. So the fact that you make the bracket, and if you're in the top 25, you're gonna be probably a high, you know, maybe a 5 seed, which ain't bad. So I think when people just hear 25, like, oh man, that's a diss. But now when you think about it as in Rec, you know, for March Madness, teams be wishing they could make the field of 64. So
I got homeboy. He never made it to the dance in 4 years of college, man.
Right. So you got people. So 25 is not a bad thing. Yes, sir.
When we did the March Madness joints, who did Busta lose to? Do you remember?
I'll pull that up in 2 seconds. Rec, tell me where Busta is with yours.
Somewhere in between 30 and 50, maybe. Busta Rhymes is not somebody I would put. Like when you start talking about like top 10 artists, I don't think of Busta for that. Now, like I like some of his albums, but he's not on my top 10 list. He's not on my top 25.
All right, what about you, Ed?
He might make 20, but probably the 20 to 25 range. And it may sound like you guys nailed it. Like, it sounds like slander, but when you think of how many dope MCs we all know, how many iconic, game changers, being the top 25 is not a diss. I mean, because Busta brought a lot to hip hop. I mean, he has his place, but it's just so many other artists that either have the catalog or were, groundbreaking artists, that had more of an impact. So,
Ev, I'm actually glad you said that because I'm looking at the joint. I don't know where he lost because I just had a bracket, but I think I remember Busta was ranked number 5. And in the first round, I'm sure he won up against the number 12 seed MC8. Now, after that, the next round, he would have been up against the number 4 Slick Rick. I can't remember if he beat Rick or not, but if he did beat Rick, he would have been going up against Nas in the number 1 seed. So it would have been a number 1 against 5. So either he went out against Rick or he went out against Nas, which again,
he probably went out against Rick.
All I remember is that Tupac Shakur lost to Fonte, and that killed me. And I had to say that. And I'm sorry. My heart. That MC bracket is subject. Tupac was only able to beat Sadat X. Like, this is, I can't with this. This group.
Yeah, I think between you with that and Yao with the Snoop beating Guru thing, I don't think y'all two will. What happened?
Yeah, Guru beat Snoop.
Yeah, Guru beat Snoop, and Yao was like, "Yo, y'all the most disrespectful people I've ever met in my life."
I think I actually shed a tear that day. Like, I just cannot even. Anyways, sorry.
I will never forget that night.
That is hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, y'all. So, even through all that, you know what I mean? Salute to Busta Rhymes. Definitely one of the dopest, most innovative. To me, he's a legend. He's a legend. Yeah. And Ev, I love the fact that you brought up the March Madness bracket, because I think when you look at it in that type of span, to be a number 5 seed in hip hop is dating back to 79 and it's 2020. And if you're doing a ranking now and you're a 5 seed, God damn it, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? That's pretty damn good. Now, when you hear it like, oh, he's in my top 20, 30, it's like, oh, damn, because I think offhand, people don't realize how many MCs there are. Every time we do a bracket, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be enough groups to make this bracket, but there's always people mad that somebody got left out. When we did the producers bracket, I'm like, I don't think it's going to be 64 producers. Trust me, there are over hundreds of producers, MCs, groups that people are still mad at me about to this day about my group didn't make that bracket. You know what I mean? Don't get me started on the Midwest and the down south people who hate me because everybody doesn't make the bracket. So just keep that in mind that there are hundreds of MCs. You know what I mean? So it's no knock. I think we got so caught up on if you're not in the top 10, then you just ain't shit.
Here's the other thing with Busta. We always kind of talk about top 10 MCs, albums, blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about who's the best at making videos, who's the best at singles, who's the best at features. And Busta will come up in the top 3 or top 5 every single time. Yeah, and again, that's astronomical, because if you think about how many rappers have been featured and how many rappers have made videos, that's also kind of let's focus on the positive. Don't worry about
you're absolutely right. And that's why we did the show about the wrestling belts, like who's the best freestyler, who's the best guest, because we get in hip hop, all we talk about is the GOAT. And it's really not even top 10. It's just literally, if you ain't number 1, then you ain't shit. And it's too many MCs who are going to be lost and never get their flowers because they're just not great enough to be the number 1 MC. So it was like, who's the best freestyler? Who's your best guest verse? Who has the best voice in hip hop? Because there's still so many other awards that need to be given out, and all we seem to do is just focus on who's the greatest MC ever. And if you don't win that, then your discography and you ain't nothing.
And
you about to say something, Vern?
It's a tired debate too, man. the GOATs. I get sick of the LeBron, Kobe, MJ. Man, they all great. Just appreciate them. I mean, and stop with this nitpicking stuff, man.
But you know what it is, Vern? Here's the hard part. This is why I love everybody up here in Apartment 5B. We all bust our ass every week to come up with a new topic. You know what I mean? Ed, we started the Rise Bench maybe 4 years ago, and I don't think we may have repeated one or two topics here and there, but for the most part, for almost 6 damn years, we've come up with new topics every week to not be. But that's the problem is you got to think. It's just easier to have that debate of, well, who's the best ever, and have everybody slug it out. You know what I mean? And Vern, when it comes to sports, I look at it like with ESPN, you got to have something to talk about. Even before Corona, you got to have the debate, which is why I love this Last Dance with Jordan. I really want to see because now everybody on the timeline is like, okay, debate over. It's Jordan. He's the GOAT. I want to see what that looks like in 3 months from now when everything's back to normal. We don't forgot about the Last Dance and Jordan prices went down again. Y'all mofos done messed up my sneaker money after his Last Dance because now the Jordan's astronomical. Jordans that used to be $250, now people want $500 for them. So, but I really want to see if after this, if we go right back to who's the GOAT, LeBron again and all that. So, Ev, give them all the information, good brother. Tell them everything that you and Marjani have going on, Twitter, Instagram, everything that you guys got going on.
We are actually in the process of working on this piece called A Prophet's Tale, which is the journey of MCs. We're talking about lyricists. And we're actually just really focusing on the lyricists. You've probably heard me talk about this before. We're doing a lot of conference calls with funders and grant funders and foundations and stuff like that. So because of COVID, of course, we're looking at how to do this in a different way because before it was on stage. It was a theater piece, so now it might be a little bit different. But that's happening. Check us at 7NMS on Instagram, and you can catch me on Twitter, Mental151.
All right, no doubt. Right, give him everything, good brother.
All right, so for mixes, catch me on Mixcloud at DJRec1. Twitter is at DJRec1. Instagram is at DJRec1 as well.
All right, Eddie, give him everything, good brother.
On Twitter at EddieD80 and on Instagram at Eddie Got Soul.
All right, Porsche.
Twitter is at Cherchez Porsche.
That's it. That's all. That's it. Not even a backup account.
Nope.
The burner.
I'll find you.
She ain't even giving out the burner account out here.
If you know, you know.
I'm telling you. Exactly. Vern, give him everything, good brother.
Instagram, V the Lone Closer. Twitter, V Chandler 10.
All right, no doubt. And y'all already know what it is with me. Kill. Oh, God, I'm still getting used to this. Kill Apartment 5B. Because Twitter is still, I'm not even going to ask. So on Twitter, Kill at Apartment 5B. On IG, it's Kill889. If you haven't got a chance, check out the last episode of Kill's Couch. I had Yao on. Very dope interview, chopping it up with him about everything from hip hop to his favorite sneakers, most heartbreaking moments as a Knicks fan. Fonte just actually retweeted. Yeah, Fonte actually just retweeted the episode because he shouted out Fonte as one of the MCs that inspires him. So, yeah, definitely check that out, y'all. And I will catch y'all next week.
Sir.
All right. Dope show.